Hey, it's Lowery Smith of the Commander Smith here with searching or not searching, but just Spotlight Deck Tech with Xavier Sal. This Superfriends deck. Xavier Sal is black, green, blue, 3/3 human fungus pirate. Remove a counter from another target permanent you control, populate, activate only as a sorcery, or tap, sacrifice another creature, proliferate, activate only as a sorcery. There's kind of a lot of different ways. I'm sure it's a fungus because you could do saplings or something like that, uh, and then +1/+1 counters. But I went Super Friends, so a bunch of planeswalkers are in here, and along with I wanted the planeswalkers to create tokens so that I could potentially populate them, and that's how they win. Or if things are kind of really, really grindy and creatures can't get through, then you start populating and start ultimating your planeswalkers, and then you'll likely win in that direction as well. So Xavier Sal, being able to populate or proliferate, and I mix these things up all the time, which is a bummer. But first off, Commander Smiths is a podcast that records weekly. You can always check out our audio on basically every um, thing out there that you listen to podcasts on. And we've been going for 7+ years at this point. So we have a lot of content. That first year was a little rough. Don't worry about it. So yeah, let's get to it. All right. Save Your Soul is pretty cool. So you got Nissa, Ascendant Animus. I'm probably just going to point out what I'm doing with the card, not necessarily everything that the cards can do. But Nissa, Ascendant Animus is pretty cool. Comes down, you can do it basically as a 5-drop, has a ton of loyalty. You want to create the XX creature that has as many lands as you have, and then you start populating that, and that's a big beater. That's pretty much what's going on there. Mu Yanling, you are happy to be making the 4/4 elemental birds because then you're going to be able to crack on through just for basically it's 3 mana, and then you want to +2 it, or you populate up to make sure that you can create the 4/4. So it just depends on where you are in the game at that point. Liliana, Dreadhorde General, whenever one of your creatures dies, you get to draw cards. So whenever you're sacrificing, or just your tokens will draw you cards, but also it's removal, and also it's reanimation. So this card is fantastic. Kiora, the Crashing Wave, is there just to draw another card and put another land into play, and then you basically populate as you're going along with that. And then you have Kiora, Master of the Depths. That's there for the untapping or revealing and dumping some stuff into the graveyard. But also, let's see here. That one makes 9/9s. If you get to ultimate it, that's a pretty good one as well. Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner. This one's really good for the untapping. You're basically you have a bunch of cards that could be untapping or lands, some artifacts that are really beneficial, and then a lot of these tokens are going to draw you cards as well. Jace the Mind Sculptor's just there for the drawing, a little bit of removal, but it's just there for that brainstorm effect. Grist, Hunger, Tide, not a lot of removal in this deck, so that's kind of what that is for. You're sacrificing a creature to destroy a creature, or creating like the tokens, which are really small in that regard. So whatever. Garrick Wild Speaker, untapping the lands is some good ramp. Creating a 3/3 is also good. And just the overrun effect is going to be solid for you in this deck too. Garrick Primal Hunter, the 3/3 token you can populate that. Drawing cards is always good, or if you're ultimating, it's going to win you the game with that many 6 worms for as many lands as you control. Land, Triome, Yavimaya, Watery Grave. Whoa, I got a bunch in a row here. All right, land. Oh, I might have a lot of land. Rivendell for scrying. I must have just. All right, nesting grounds to move around. Loyalty counters is pretty cool. Land drawing. Mikakoro is for drawing. Karn's Bastion for proliferating some of those loyalty abilities. Interplanar Beacon. That is, you get to gain life and add mana for your planeswalkers. Bounce lands, when you untap them, you're just getting more mana in that regard. Gaia Reach Sanitarium for more drawn selection. Minimo untaps a legendary creature. Could be Xavier Sal, could be something else if we see it. City of Shadow is pretty cool. Exile a creature you control, put a counter on this, and then you can tap it for colorless as many counters are on this, so you can proliferate that up and up and up. Boseju for some removal. There we go with our lands. That should be almost all of them at that point. Exploration, yeah, getting more lands into play is quite good. Wild growth, making your lands when you untap them, just tapping for more mana. Same thing with Utopia Sprawl. Also, they're a little bit different. You know, they're harder to remove than creatures or planeswalkers, and so when they're on a land, they're not that bad. Oath of Nissa, kind of mana fixing for your planeswalkers, along with getting a land or a land creature or planeswalker, so a little bit of card advantage as well. Oath of Liliana is there for some removal, along with a token to be able to proliferate or populate. Oath of Jace. Man, this one's a little bit more organized than my normal. I should have shuffled it up. But that's from card draw and discard, along with scrying at your upkeep for as many as you have. Not a bad deal. Mystic Remora is pretty cool here with that cumulative upkeep. That does put a counter on here that you can remove with Xavier Sal to populate. So you're going to have Mystic Remora stick around longer. Doubling season. Let's talk about that real quick. When your planeswalkers come into play, it doubles the amount of play or like loyalty counters that go on them. But when you put +1/+1 on them, like with when you plus the ability, does not give you more loyalties. It does not double that amount because it's an activation, not necessarily something that is putting the counter on it. So a little strange in that regard, but I want to make sure that people know that. Grim Monolith, just for some good ramp, and then you're all also able to untap it in this deck. Thousand Year Elixir, a lot of your creatures that are tapping for stuff like Xavier Sal, give it haste, untap ability as well. The One Ring, so this is something that Minimo can untap, and you're just going to draw a ton of cards. And you can also remove tokens from that to populate. Staff of Completion, just kind of a do-all, draws cards, mana, proliferate. You don't really want to destroy your stuff unless it's about to be stolen, so whatever. Soul Ring for that ramp. Sensei's top for the selection. Rings of Bright Hearth. You can pay 2. The plussing the Planeswalker is an activated ability, so you get to copy it with Rings of Birthright. Lightning Greaves for protection and haste on your creatures. Icarmore Gauntlet. It's kind of whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent, put an additional counter on that kind of that permanent. So you're doing it for loyalty abilities, and this also adds proliferate or -12. Take an extra turn after this one. So great in a planeswalker deck, not very good in other decks. Unaworn Shaku, tap a legendary or tap and untap legendary permanent. Planeswalkers are that, and then untap Unaworn Shaku. So essentially, your planeswalkers turn into colorless mana with this on the field. Glistening Sphere comes into play tapped, gives you a mana of any color, and when it ETBs proliferate, rarely are you going to get the poison counter stuff. Everflowing Chalice, get a counter on this, proliferate it, and you're going to keep on getting more and more mana out of it. Same thing with Astral Cornucopia, it just costs 3, but gives you colored mana. Brainstorm, just for card selection and seeing more stuff to smooth out your deck. Teferi's Time Twister is a blink mechanic, but you can exile target permanent you control, so you can save a planeswalker that's being attacked, or you can reset a loyalty, stuff like that. Steady Progress, draw a card, proliferate for 3. Ripples of Potential, proliferate, and then phase out stuff that you proliferated. Fantastic card in this. Experimental Augury, basically putting cards in your hand and proliferating. Preordained for card selection. Tezzerek's Gambit, this will draw you 2 cards and proliferate. Genesis Wave is fantastic. This deck has a lot of permanents in it, and you get to cheat them in for free for the X cost. Last game I got to play with it, I got it for 18 and put a Vraska into play and won the game with Rings of Bright Hearth and poisoning everybody. It was pretty insane. So very enjoyable in this deck. Contentious Plan is proliferate, draw a card. All right, back half of the deck, we have Silent Arbor. This is just slowing your opponents down. Only one creature can attack. Only one creature can block. If you don't like it, you can sacrifice it to Xavier Sal, and you can start getting aggressive with your tokens, but it's really going to help out allowing your planeswalkers to survive for a bit. Vorinclex is another doubling season for the deck. Also, it slows down your opponents with their counters that they're doing. Vizier of the Tumbling Sands, one of those untapped target permanent stuff. So you can untap Xavier Sal, any land that's giving you multiple lands, so it's like a ramp, the One Ring, stuff like that. The Sixth Doctor, whenever you cast a historic spell, copy it. So planeswalkers come into play copied, except the copy isn't legendary. This ability triggers only once each turn. So cast a planeswalker, get a second one that isn't legendary, and you're going to do good stuff. The Peregrine Dynamo is able to copy one of the triggers from a planeswalker in this deck. Takutha, whenever you proliferate twice instead. So you get to do it twice. You do this, sacrifice a token, proliferate. All your planeswalkers are gaining a ton there. Reki, whenever you are casting a planeswalker or anything legendary, you get to draw a card. Per Imaginative Rascal. If I remember right, so this counts for everything ETBing for all your planeswalkers, but also the Planeswalker Plus ability. I might be wrong there, but I kind of remember that's the case. It's been a while, but check it out. Malcolm, Alluring Scoundrel. That's just draw a discard, maybe cheating some planeswalkers into play. You're able to proliferate up the counters on this, and that should be nice for you. Kyora's Follower, untap target permanent. So same thing as Vizier. Kelpie Guide, untapping permanents. Flux Channeler for casting whenever you cast a walker, proliferate. Displacer Kitten, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, blink a planeswalker, do it again, reset its loyalty, stuff like that. Delighted Halfling for that ramp, Deathrite Shaman for a little bit of reach, but it's basically the creature's planeswalker. Bloom Tender for that mana, so untapping permanence counts for this. For 3 mana, gets crazy. Ren and 7, basically you're trying to make the Tree Folk token for as many lands that you have in play, and then also it gets lands in your hand and stuff like that. So mostly there for that token. Vraska, Betrayal Sting, like I was saying. So this one's cool for the proliferate, but also the -9 puts 9 poison counters on an opponent. Rings of Bright Hearth, I was able to copy it. Doubling Season in play, instead of 9, made it 18, and they died. And then it copied it, died again, cast a Brainstorm, blinked this with the Displacer Kitten in play, had it come back into play, killed another player. So that was the last game. It was pretty fun. Tyvar just gives your tappers haste, and you can untap stuff. Nissa is 1/1 counters. It is some draw, and it's also making 0/1. It's just early speed bumps essentially in this deck. Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir, is a loot effect, a phase effect, or extra turns. It's basically there to draw a discard, or if somebody's attacking you, to get rid of it. Tamio, Completed Sage, gets pretty bonkers. You kind of want to ultimate this one where your spells cost 2 less, and you can tap it, tap a thing that you're making, a token that you're making to draw a card. And it has a little bit of extra stuff, but that's kind of what you want. And Obnixilis is pretty great because you're making a 5/5 demon pretty easy. Hey, if you have a Xavier Sal deck, let me know what you got going on, or any Planeswalker deck. Also, any advice or whatever, your opinion, let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.